Since the beginning of March, the U.S. has pledged close to $70 billion in military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine to help it defend against Russia's unprovoked attack. While that might sound like a lot, much of it is slated to be spent in future years, all the way out to 2030.
There's a lag between the time that Congress appropriates funds and the time when those funds actually get spent. The year up to September 30th, that totaled about $8 billion that had actually been spent of the total $68 billion that had been appropriated.
I traveled to the front lines to see where all this aid is going. My escort was Andrew Gota, one of President Zelensky's advisors.
We want to be open and transparent. We're ready for any control, any extra control, for any special officers that came to us to check the situation.
Gota regularly travels to gauge what's needed on the front line. Then he approaches charities in the U.S. that can help.
I should fill some application. What I need exactly, how much of these devices I need, and for whom. Who is an end user of these devices? After the USA charity organizations approved my request, we had another level of control on the border. So it's our Customs and Border Protection Service will check these documents and will check the end user of these devices. So we have multi-level control of even for the humanitarian aid. You can imagine what kind of control we have for the heavy weapon.
I've been covering this conflict here in Ukraine since about 3 weeks before the war started back in February. And in that time, I've learned a lot about Ukrainian people. First of all, they're very patriotic, really love their country. But more than that, they see this conflict as something a lot larger than just between Ukraine and Russia. As a matter of fact, the aid that they're receiving, they believe is less of a handout and more of a partnership.
It's not a charity to support Ukraine. We are not asking this money. We are trying to protect freedom, democracy of all civilized world. I think that the problem which Russia created for all civilized wars and the price which other country pay supporting Ukraine is uncomparable. To cure this disease is to help Ukraine to win this war.
So far, there has been scant evidence of corruption in the process.
We don't see much weapon in the black market, for example, because everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to fight with the enemy.
The military assistance Ukraine received is making the difference between success and failure on the battlefield, especially in the early days of the conflict.
This American aid, 155 millimeters, 155 calibers, saved Kyiv, that's true. If we got some aid from the USA, from other country, of course we spread it immediately. We spread it immediately to the front line.
Ukrainian soldiers often bring up Afghanistan and ask Andrew whether the U.S. will abandon them as well. They're concerned that if support ended now, Ukraine's recent victories could quickly be reversed and people's suffering multiplied.
I think that the situation is a challenge because of winter, which is already in Ukraine. It's already freezing temperatures. So in response to that, the United States is going to continue to do everything we possibly can, working night and day to provide help on winterization needs, to provide as much air defense and other security assistance as possible, and to also help Ukraine repair its energy infrastructure so people aren't in the cold and dark and without water.
Either way, Ukrainians are committed to fighting to the end.
We don't stop. We never stop. Winter, summer, spring, autumn, fall, we don't stop. We will fight every day, every hour, at night and during the day.
From Kyiv, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
And we will continue to pray for those involved in conflict and wars worldwide.